What's up, Fox? Stone Fox here, and today we're talking about an RTX 4090 with a 9800 X3D at 1080p. Now, I know a lot of people have asked me actually in the past why I play at 1080p, and I don't exclusively play at 1080p. I have a 3440 by 1440p monitor right there, but the reason why I do play at 1080p is because I have a high refresh rate monitor. I have a 1080p 240Hz monitor, so I wanted to play games as smooth as possible, which means cranking the settings down even though I have an RTX 4090. Now, previously I had a Ryzen 9 5900X, which held back the 4090 substantially, but now with the 9800 X3D, I'm seeing frames I've never seen before at this resolution, so let's hop right in. The first and newest game on the list is Marvel Rivals at 1080p with the low preset. We saw an average frame rate of 275, a 1% low of 184, and a 0.1% low of 76. So a very good showing throughout. Hitting well above that 240 FPS mark that we want for a game like this. There was no upscaling whatsoever in any of these tests. I kept it at native 1080p. And in this game, I felt like I was playing against bots because I went 25-0. So let me know if there are bots in Marvel Rivals for your first game that you play, because if so, that might impact CPU usage. But either way, this game ran very well. Black Ops 6 at 1080p with the low preset ran with an average frame rate of 307 FPS, a 1% low of 205, and a 0.1% low of 96. So another fantastic showing, well above the 240 FPS threshold. Now I understand that Black Ops 6 can or cannot be perceived as a Twitch shooter or an esports title, but I consider it the best of both worlds, which is why I made it on this list today. So I will say the GPU is utilized much more in the benchmark that I used to capture these numbers, and we had a 90% VRAM target. Counter-Strike 2 at 1080p with the low settings. I finally got MSI Afterburner working, so please drop a subscribe for that. Finally, CS2 allows MSI Afterburner with an average frame rate of 651 FPS, a 1% low of 201 FPS, and a 0.1% low of 83 FPS. My jaw drops to the floor when I saw the average frame rate of this game. This was absolutely nutty. This was just playing Dust 2, and holy cow, it is incredible. Fortnite at 1080p with the low preset with epic view distance because I wanted to make it competitive. We saw an average frame rate of 479 FPS, a 1% low of 112, and a 0.1% low of 30. So the 1% and 0.1% lows do show that there is a little bit to be desired in terms of jitter, but it really wasn't that bad as far as I recall actually playing it. So I would take that with a grain of salt, especially since Fortnite usually has this problem. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to get away with a great 0.1% low no matter what CPU or GPU you're using on Fortnite. But 479 FPS on average is pretty dang good if I do say so myself. Overwatch 2 at 1080p with the low preset saw an average frame rate of 593 frames per second, a 1% low of 359 frames per second, and a 0.1% low of 34 frames per second. So that 0.1% low indicates that there was a jitter, but the 1% low frame rate shows that it wasn't often at all. So I don't know actually where that came from, but the actual game was very smooth in and of itself, considering the 1% low frame rate is above 240 FPS by over 100 frames per second. I cannot emphasize how awesome this is to see. Like, I am just awestruck. I'm so ready to play Counter-Strike 2 all day on this machine. I just love this PC so much and this processor so much. Now, Rainbow Six Siege, I have divvied up into two categories. I have the benchmark and the gameplay. For the benchmark, we saw an average frame rate at 1080p with a low preset of 634 FPS, a 1% low of 302, a 0.1% low of 74. Now, for the gameplay, we saw 200 FPS less, almost, not quite, but 484 FPS with a 1% low of 176 and a 0.1% low of 65. So the actual gameplay was worse by quite a significant margin compared to the benchmark, but that could be depending on map, how many players are on screen, etc., etc. But 484 FPS in a map is still absolutely amazing, so no complaints from me whatsoever. Like I said multiple times in this video, I was just awestruck by the performance of both the GPU and CPU in these esports titles. I am so excited to just sit and binge play some competitive games, and I really, really, really like the results that we have. I am probably going to do a video in the future showcasing ultra-wide performance, but I really wanted to give the 9800X3D a chance to shine at 1080p low, and that's exactly what this showed off, that there is no game right now that you can just throw at this, and it'll just be like, all right, whatever, and just truck through it. Like, obviously, AAA titles are going to struggle a little bit more, but any esports title isn't just a great experience. It is the best experience you can possibly get right now. And that best experience is better than I could have ever imagined when I started building PCs back in 2017, even earlier than that. And it was incredible. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like, subscribe, do what you usually do. And as always, buy yourself something nice.